for pausing for a few minutes. We just got done voting. I hurried right over here so I could just make a few brief remarks in honor of this important occasion. So thank you to the leaders of the International Leaders Summit for putting on a fantastic and educational celebration of Israel. I wasn't here to watch the movie, but you're going to give me a copy of that movie because I want to watch it. What little I saw before I had to go vote, it really looked fascinating. The past few years have marked a shift in global opinion of Israel. The relationship between the U.S. and Israel has only grown deeper and more significant over the years. I anticipate that it will continue to flourish long into the future. As chairman of the House Armed Services Strategic Forces Subcommittee, I have personally led efforts to forge our country's common defense. I led targeted initiatives to form partnerships between our two countries which strengthen Iron Dome and missile defense, bolster Iron Beam, which is an up-and-coming weapon, defensive weapon, and directed energy, and introduced tunnel detection and defeat funding. I led other opportunities for partnership in advanced technologies such as quantum, artificial intelligence, and military space. I have a provision in the National Defense Authorization Act, which we're going to have our markup in about 10 days, that if successful will invest $50 million a year in U.S. and Israel joint and cutting-edge defense technologies. I've also applauded and supported efforts to foster bilateral relationships between Israel and its neighbors through the Abraham Accords, but there's more work to be done. Israel has engaged in good faith efforts to form partnerships with other nations and the international community. However, inherent bias against this Jewish state persists at the highest levels of many governments and even international organizations. I will continue to speak out against intolerance and bias against Israel in all forms and forums. And I'll work with Israel's allies in Congress to push back on those who try to institutionalize hatred against this, our cherished ally and partner. I know firsthand that challenges to Israel persist despite our efforts to knock them down. I was happy to introduce the Taylor Force Act along with Representative Lee Zeldin, which passed and became law several years ago. This bill prohibits the use of funding to benefit the Palestinian Authority until the State Department determines that the PA, the PLO, and any other affiliated organizations are taking steps to end so-called martyr payments. And if you don't know what those are, it's horrific. You are paid after a terrorist attack, or your family if you die in that attack by committing terrorism, and you get more of a payment the more Jews you kill. It's horrible. But unfortunately, this is not being robustly enforced. Terrorist organizations have discovered loopholes that allow them to continue making martyr payments despite the passage of that law, which is supposed to prevent this. So I have a follow-up bill that I have introduced, the Taylor Force Martyr Payment Prevention Act, that prohibits financial institutions from conducting business with groups that directly or indirectly finance martyr payments. And if you're isolated from the U.S. world banking system, that's a big penalty. So I hope to have your support as we push this bill forward. And we have to discourage the kind of violence that these terrorist acts cause. And finally, I'd like to close by addressing the recently released U.S. national strategy to counter anti-Semitism. I applaud the administration for undertaking this effort and addressing hatred against the Jewish people. However, I'm dismayed that the strategy does not include the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, which includes prejudice against Israel as a form of anti-Semitism. While the strategy does consider hatred of this type, it purposefully avoids this working definition, even though it is currently used by the U.S. government. The people of Israel don't need half measures, they need uncompromising full measures. So until they see that support clearly and unwaveringly, I'm going to continue to use my position to speak out and push for that kind of support. So I've been honored to visit Israel 8 times. I'm going there again later this month. So I haven't lost track yet. That'll be number 9. The holy sites in Israel are cherished by people of many faiths across the world, and support of that state over the state that supports and has sovereignty of these holy sites is fundamental for the entire world. So with that, thank you, and it's great to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Israel. Thank you.